If the Holy Spirit tells me to evangelize somebody in a mall and I don't do it, is that a sin? Hi, my name is Ted Rosenblatt, and I'm here with my father, Dr. Rod Rosenblatt, and this is Talks with Dad Rod. You know, let's say I've just been given I'll put it this...
a nudge?
Yeah. as kindly as I can, that I'm being given... I have this inclination, I'll put it that way. I have a strong inclination to evangelize, and I am convicted because I don't end up doing that thing. Let's say I have to deal with, my son or my daughter or something in a particular public scenario, or something comes up, and I end up getting out of there, and that doesn't happen.
Well, the key question is, and we've talked about it, how do you tell when it's the Holy Spirit talking to you? Or does the Holy Spirit have a feminine voice or a masculine voice? Really hard to locate and show. And that's why the Protestant church accused Rome of being Pentecostals. Boy, did that piss them off. Called them Pentecostals in that day. Because they had a direct pipeline to revelation through the magisterium.
Apostolic succession and the whole thing.
And the official magisterium, the office that was charged with giving the true and the right interpretation of a passage. And the Protestants always said balderdash to all of it. We see it today in Pentecostalism, that sort of direct pipeline. It's there in Mormonism, the Council of the 12. You got all kinds of things like this. And the Protestants said no to all of it. It's part of what they meant by Sola Scriptura. No voices, prophecies, and the sorts of things you saw in the Old Testament. No, not since the Messiah has arrived. Forget that stuff. There are a couple of passages in 1 Corinthians 12 and 14 we have to deal with, but leaving that aside, the answer was no to that. Then we find individual Christians within Protestantism who've sort of been encouraged to listen to that voice within. And I want to be in the background saying, no, because it really trumps Sola Scriptura. Don't be listening for voices or looking for dreams. Spend your time in the Scriptures and be under somebody who interprets them in a Christ-centered way and choose that, not listening for voices or hoping you have a dream or somebody who's got the gift of prophecy, balderdash.
Well, and I know we're going to cover this in another episode here in a minute, but don't we have the Great Commission, which, from our Lutheran perspective could tie into, be prepared to give a defense of the faith that is within you and so forth? Yeah, 1
Peter 3:15 does say that, but always be prepared to give a reasoned defense. Greek is apologia. Be always prepared to give a reasoned defense to anyone who asks you for the reason for the hope that's within you. That's a command, to be prepared to say why, or on what basis, or how do you know? That we're to be prepared to give. And I think we should pattern it after the early church, especially to Jews, fulfilled prophecy, particularly messianic prophecy, and to Gentiles, miracle, specifically and in the highest sense, Jesus' resurrection from the dead. Those are commands that we're to follow. But the Great Commission doesn't make formal evangelists out of every believer. Rather, we're called to a life in vocation, what the Reformers called vocation. That is, your real service to God begins with the ones who are closest to you, your own family, and it works out in circles from that. But the way in which you do it is through vocation. I'm called to be a father. I'm called to be a this. I'm called to be this at work. I'm a woodworker. I'm a street something or other. Or I run a high tension wires over neighborhoods. Those are vocations. And what the Reformation insisted on was that's more spiritual than any monk or any nun. It really is spiritual, but nobody's talked about it for 1,000 years.
Vocation. Yeah, this is something I started to bring up. We did one on vocation relatively recently, and that sort of focus was the thought process, and that is, when we are asked sometimes by the church to do what we are perceiving as another vocation. It's another job.
Yes.
Sometimes the church asks us and comes to us and says, you ought to be this, you should be doing that. And
if I'm an accountant, maybe I can help with the treasury, and the keeping of records. That's understandable. But my main job is during the week with my family and my employer. The classic book on this from our circles is Eugene Veith, God at Work. Concordia, I think he did it through Concordia.
I don't remember. I think it was...
Maybe it's CPH. Crossway.
I have to go look. I think it was CPH.
Anyway, again, Eugene or Gene Veith, God at Work.
And I've linked to that before. We'll do it again. Always do it. All right. Hope this is clarifying, helpful, and helps take some pressure off in some places that we know that the church can apply pressure that we believe is done suboptimally?
Yes. Yes.
So when the church starts going into the bushes and we feel like we're in the bushes, it's funny how when someone
we're in the bushes.
When someone comes and confirms, goes, you're in the bushes.
Yeah.
It makes you feel a little better.
Yeah.
So hope this is helpful for you. Come to 1517.org for more content like this, and we'll see you on social media. Thank you for joining us on Talks with Dad Rod, part of the 1517 Podcast Network. This podcast and all 1517's content is made possible through financial support by listeners just like you. Please visit 1517.org for more, and please consider clicking on the donate button and making a recurring or one-time contribution to help us share this good news in a world which so desperately needs it.